Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by Holly Shand to have a look at how Fantasy Football Hub's FPL team run by AI has done in Game Week 1 before looking ahead to Game Week 2 and seeing what the team has got planned for the next game week. Now, spoiler alert, as you can see from the title and thumbnail, it's had an exceptional game week. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, what the AI team is, Holly's going to explain in just a second. But 90 points and a live game week rank of 12k for game week 1 is simply sensational. I mean, it's just unbelievable. A phenomenal start for this team. But yeah, Holly, for people who might not know what I'm talking about or what Fantasy Football Hub even is, can you explain what the AI team is?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Fantasy Football Hub, every single player has predicted points for every single FPL game. And then the AI team solver looks at all of those predictions to come up with the best team to start the season with based on their predicted points over the opening 5 game weeks. So that's weighted towards the earlier game weeks, of course. So before the game week 1 deadline, I went to the AI team section of the site and entered this team into FPL as the AI team. And yeah, it's absolutely smashed it. And I'm going to continue to use the Hub's tools, its AI recommended transfers and the predicted points to choose the lineups for the rest of the season. It did pretty well last season, finished in the top 1%, beating 99% of human managers. But to be top 10k basically after 1 game week is pretty impressive start.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. What we're going to do first, before we look ahead to Game Week 2, and the great thing about this is now that you guys know how good the AI is, you can listen to the recommendations, the predicted points with a little bit more, kind of security and think, okay, it does know what it's doing. So we're going to get into the best players for Game Week 2. But first things first, let's just have a talk through the team and explain to the viewers how we ended up on this team and why the AI picked these players. Let's start with the defense. So we've got Pickford with 1 point, Gabriel, Gvardiol and Trent. Very, very solid defense. Quite a lot of money spent there, but yeah, why do you think that the AI chose these players?
So there was a massive discrepancy between the potential of the 4.5 million goalkeepers and the 5 million goalkeepers. So it was a very big at the back side. Obviously, the move for Pickford at the moment probably looks like the worst take from AI in the entire squad. But then the defence, we're looking at these premium defenders that have got attacking potential, playing the best defences in the Premier League with the best clean sheet potential. They all managed to get a clean sheet. And then we got the bonus points from Trent as well. It's no surprise that these are the most expensive defenders in the game because they've got that most potential out of any of the defenders. So just goes to show that consistency is everything in FPL and the fixtures aligned as well to get that good start.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, I think, with this. Not many people were willing to spend as much as this in defense. A lot of managers have 2, maybe, of these 3. But yeah, going with these 3, I mean, 3 of the most premium defenders out there, it's definitely sort of aggressive and it takes money out of the rest of your team. But moving on to the midfield, this is where, yeah, just had a great day. Salah captain. A lot of people like myself. I'm not sure if you have Salah as well, Holly. I don't have him. But yeah, the popular move was to not have Salah, but clearly the AI team said, no, we're going with Salah. We're going to captain him. Obviously, that came through. Saka did extremely well. Jota as well, with 8 points, could easily have been more. And Eze, extremely unlucky not to get anything. Could easily have had a double-digit haul. But yeah, very, very strong midfield.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 44 points from the triple Liverpool contingent. I could tell by 3 o'clock on Saturday that this side was going to fly. And yeah, that's the advantage of having a Salah team, is that you had to give him the armband, but we knew how good he generally is in game week 1 anyway. I personally would never have considered going with the Salah Jota double up. In my eyes, Jota was the understudy. If you couldn't afford Salah, you had to hope that Jota could cover his points. Whereas the AI is not thinking conservative, being aggressive. Liverpool got the great form, got the great fixtures. Why not triple up? So to have both of them in there was incredible. And then Saka, it was a stacked kind of price point around that 10 million mark in the midfielders. Yeah. Lots of places you could go. Son, Palmer, looking at the Man City midfielders as well. But Saka was the one leading the predictions, and he did very well. And then Eze, we were robbed. If that Eze free kick had stood, then we could have
goal,
been
man.
pushing for 100 points, which would have been, more than we could ever have hoped for. But yeah, a really solid performance from the midfield to get just one blank in there and 5 attacking returns across the 4 players, including captaining the highest scoring player in the squad, which always feels nice at the end of a game week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the main thing with this team is yeah, Salah's in, captained, and no Haaland. That's the brave thing that's the whole point of the AI, is that it's not sentient, right? It can't feel FOMO. It doesn't feel scared when Haaland's playing, because it's just going based off predicted points and what it thinks will be the best team over the first few game weeks. And clearly, well, this week anyway, that was the way to play it. We will see what happens next week with having no Haaland, or maybe the team will try and get Haaland in. We'll see. We'll come to the recommended transfers for this team in a bit. But Havertz, I think, was the main difference here. He was a player that wasn't in many teams at all. Isak, slightly unlucky to just get 5, but a red card's always going to change things. Muniz, 2 points. I've got him in my team. I really like him. Could have scored. But Havertz, 12 points. What a pick.
Exactly. And this is the other thing. Like, a lot of managers felt like, oh, I probably need to go with an Arsenal attacker. So chose a Saka or a Havertz. But very few people actually went with a double up there and tripling up on Arsenal as well. I think they were a team a lot of us were sleeping on. I was really cautious with Havertz. I was convinced that Jesus would maybe start this game or play significant minutes, and Havertz would be in the 8 role. Jesus only got 5 minutes. We know that Havertz is a 90-minute man, even if he's not in the optimal position, but he did very well. I think both Saka and Havertz got 5 shots in that game, goal and assist for each of them, which is impressive. Isak, well, the AI didn't forecast for the red card either, which kind of killed that game, else he could have done even better than he did. And Muniz, even though he didn't perform this week, you look at his run of upcoming fixtures and you know that those returns are going to be on their way. Now, we did lift the lid at Fantasy Football Hub under the bonnet of the AI, and we did look at how close it was to selecting a Salah and Haaland team. The Salah and Haaland team was only predicted to score 1 point less than this team over the opening 5 game weeks. So it just goes to show kind of the different routes the AI could take. Obviously, the computer only spits out the optimal team and not the 10 teams behind it that are only like 0.1, 0.2 points off the potential of this one. But yeah, it absolutely made the right decision for game week 1. So long may it continue.
I think that is the thing. Like we did see that the team was not changing like drastically, week by week, but because there were loads of different drafts that were very, very close in terms of expected value and points, predicted points. There wasn't like a set, okay, you need to go for a Salah draft from the beginning of the season. Sometimes it was changing, but I think that just shows that FPL did get the pricing right, and it is still very close between these sort of drafts. And in the same vein, obviously this team's had a great week this week, but in the same way that when it doesn't have a good week and people start to say, oh, the AI is rubbish, it's so bad, like why would I ever follow it? I'm not now saying, oh, the AI is amazing, you've got to follow every single move. There are ups and downs and there's variance in FPL. But nonetheless, I think we're allowed to say this is a pretty cool start to come, at 12k right now. Obviously, no Tottenham players, no Leicester players, so that rank will decrease, but not by loads. It's a phenomenal start, whatever happens in tonight's game. 90 points. But yeah, with that all being said, now we're going to have a look ahead to game week 2. First of all, looking at the AI team and what the AI recommends for itself in terms of transfers, and then looking ahead to every player and the players with the highest predicted points for Game Week 2 and the next few fixtures. Okay, so here are the AI recommended transfers on screen. Guys, if you would like to get your own recommended transfers for your team, just like these, personalized to your side, you can do so by signing up to Fantasy Football Hub. We're still actually doing the 50% off deal. We're going to run it for a couple more weeks just because you guys have been loving it so much. So click the link in the description and make sure you're signed up if you want to see your recommendations. But yeah, the recommendation here, probably unsurprisingly, looking at the strength of the team and how well it did game week 1, is to bank the free transfer. And then if not, if you want to make a move, then it's recommending to sell one 4 million defender to another 4 million defender. Actually, something else that I do want to speak about a little bit. It's just the fact that the bench of the AI team is not super strong, right? There's not a 4.5 million defender on there. It kind of put all money into the team, which is aggressive again. But yeah, I think these recommendations really show the strength of the team, right?
Yeah, and this is the thing with the AI. It is thinking like a robot. It's not thinking like we would have, oh, what if someone gets injured? What if this happens? What if that happens? I need my bench to bail me out. It's just going aggressive with those consistent players. So it just goes to show how good a start it's had that it can get away with rolling a transfer this week. And the recommended transfer being just to do a bench swap to kind of optimize for the predicted points of the bench options. It just goes to show how strong that 11 is as well. And the bench, it's not important to the AI.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah, as you can see, like the difference in predicted points between Faz and Stevens is really not that much. But I mean, if that it will always give you the AI will always give you a recommendation, even if banking is probably in this case quite clearly the best option. But yeah, another strong start. Let's have a look actually at how the team is lined up for next week. Okay, so here we are, game week 2, and as you can see, a team rating of 99%. It's not bad, is it? So strong. Let me just come down here and click optimize just so everything is in the right place, and it already is. There we go. Let's talk through the team. Looking strong.
Yeah, so it was 100% team rating last week, so it has dropped to 1%.
Oh no.
But I
Yeah.
think we could deal with that. But yeah, obviously no selection surprises here, given the fact that the bench is really basic. So Pickford's probably the worst player in the squad once again, Spurs away. But then the defence looks great. Vardiol at home to Ipswich, Trent at home to Brentford, even Gabriel away at Villa. I don't hate that fixture on paper looking at it now. I think there's certainly a chance for Arsenal defence and
Agree.
set piece
Yeah.
goals in that game. So yeah, strong looking defence, I'd say.
No, this defense looks super solid. And then it's kind of the same as you go through the team. Like, this team is well set up for the first few fixtures. I like the fact that obviously, yeah, Muniz now, his next 4 are just excellent. Next 5, really, to be fair, really, really strong. But yeah, Salah cap. But the main thing is obviously no Haaland. And don't worry, guys, we are going to be back no matter what happens next week with a review of the team again. If Haaland bangs, we're going to be here, you know. So don't worry. We're not just this video is not just being made because the team's done really well. It's going to be made by Holly every single week, no matter what happens. That's how confident we are that the team will continue to progress and do well. Yeah, who knows? Haaland could bang next week, could be in a bit of trouble, but Salah cap at home to Brentford, it's not exactly bad, is it?
No, exactly. And I think this is why the AI went with a Salah only team, because there's the utility from the Salah captaincy, which he proved in game week 1 anyway. And you look, triple Liverpool for that game at home to Brentford. There's loads of potential for that. Eze at home to West Ham looks like a great fixture as well. Muniz home to Leicester, another fantastic fixture. Even Isak away at Bournemouth. I think the success again hinges on how well Arsenal do away at Aston Villa, because we've got that triple up that did so well for us in game week 1. Can it get anything close to that in game week 2? That's going to be the key point, I think, especially because we've only got Vardiol for that super Manchester City game at home to Ipswich.
Yeah, absolutely. That City game is going to be the one, but who knows if the rest of the players can get up to those sort of levels? Who knows? You know, maybe not match the likes of a Haaland, but contribute at least. Then the red arrow can't be that bad. But anyway, we'll see what happens next week. Now let's get into some of the best players for the next few weeks according to predicted points. Okay, Holly, let's start things off with the keepers. On screen right now are the top 10 keepers for predicted points. From game week 2 to game week 6.
Yeah, and we see that Arsenal's David Raya continues to come out on top ahead of all the other goalkeepers priced at 5.5 million. He was actually in an earlier draft of the AI team for game week 1 before it decided to triple up with Havertz further forward. So there's still potential there from Raya. I think Arsenal's fixtures look great long term. It's just the game week 4 and game week 5, which is kind of the blemish in terms of their upcoming schedule. Then you've got the 5 million options coming below, and Martinez has jumped ahead of Pickford now in terms of his prediction over the next 5 game weeks, which is important to note. And then McCarthy seems to be doing well for Southampton. as the best 4.5 million goalkeeper as things stand. I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that I've got Southampton have got some good fixtures coming up, which kind of puts him above the likes of the other options like Fleck and Sanchez, who we're seeing in a few more teams. So yeah, he's one to monitor actually.
Yeah, worryingly as well. I'm just looking. No Henderson on this list, which is slightly concerning. Obviously, didn't get the clean sheet at Brentford, but yeah, maybe that might have been an error. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Henderson's got a good fixture this week, but yeah, not entirely sure if that was the best 4.5 goalkeeper choice from me. But there we go. Those are the goalkeepers. Let's move on to the defenders now. Who's like kind of taking your eye here, because obviously we'd expect someone like Trent to be near the top of this. Any sort of surprises in there for you in the top 10?
Well, Robertson's only 0.4 points behind Trent, and
Yeah.
they were sharing corners again. So that's one to monitor because that's 1 million less. So that's certainly something that's promising. We didn't see anything that blew us away in terms of Trent's position. So hopefully Robertson can be just as attacking on the other flank and that 1 million saving in there. We've still got 3 Arsenal defenders in the top 10 despite some tricky fixtures. The one that's raised my eyebrows was Cash coming in 7th
Yeah.
place. The cheap option of 4.5 million. He's predicted to score 20 points over the next 5. Obviously, having Arsenal at home is not the best fixture in game week 2, but beyond that, Villa's fixtures are great. Cash seems to be the preferred one from the Villa defence from the AI. Pau Torres in there as well, above the likes of Konza, who's a bit more highly owned among the FPL community. So yeah, it's nice to have kind of different options come at us with these predictions that maybe we weren't considering ourselves.
The Robertson one, I think, is a really interesting one because hardly anyone was thinking about him pre Game Week 1 deadline, but he was in a lot of the like the best AI team or just best wildcard sort of sides, like based on predicted points. He was doing extremely well, and I was a bit wary of that. I wasn't sure about that just because positionally I did expect him to be a bit deeper and Trent to be the one going forward. But if you look from say Game Week 4. Or even Game Week 2, if you've got enough money to get to a defender and you're not tripled up on Liverpool, I don't think I'd ever sell Trent. But doubling up on the Liverpool defence with Robertson, who is probably on more corners and set pieces than I expected him to be on. I don't know if I just missed out on that, but I don't think I was expecting him to take all in swinging corners from the right. Maybe that was an error from me, but yeah, I think just not replacing Trent, but having him alongside him could be a really good double up if you're not, super kind of secure with someone like Jota's minutes, for example.
Yeah, and the in-swinging corners was quite interesting, wasn't it? Because under Klopp, we saw that they stayed on their side of the pitch, Robertson and Trent, to take the outswinging corners.
Yeah.
So it's completely changed up Liverpool's set pieces now. So I'll be interested to see over time. Obviously, Ipswich were quite a physical side, but over time, in against defenses that maybe struggle from set pieces, how that pays off for Liverpool and whether they get a lot of joy. It seemed like they were getting a lot more corners on the side where Robertson was taking them.
Yeah.
So be interesting to see how that pans out. I'm already doubled up on Liverpool defenders because I've got Kwanzaa in my side.
Oh, well, yes, of course. Forgot about him. He's not in this list. What's going on there?
I think he's lost his place now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But
well.
This is Matty Cash. Could he be the replacement? I think probably he's going to be among the AI recommendations for managers like me that went with Kwanzaa early doors.
Good point, because a lot of people are going to be a bit thinking, if Kwanzaa is nearing a price drop come the end of this week, it's going to be tempting, isn't it? I mean, depending on the depth of your benches, it's going to be tempting to get him out of there. I don't think he's going to start against Brentford for the same reasons why that he was subbed against Ipswich, to be honest. Pretty physical team, and I don't know if you can't rely on his minutes. And you always have that slight risk of a sub later in the game. I don't know if you can necessarily keep him. What are you thinking about him at the moment? Are you tempted to go for another 4.5?
Yeah, I think I'm going to make the move, to be honest, because I've not got kind of reinforcements from my bench. And going into any given game week, I'm not going to know whether he's going to start, be benched and come on as a sub or not feature at all. So I think in that case, you've kind of got to admit defeat and move on and get a replacement in. I keep looking at the Villa defence, but I kind of need a defender that I can start in game week 2, and I just don't love Arsenal at home. So I think I'll probably be looking elsewhere, but I think Villa defence is one that we can rely on. So maybe I'll regret that decision.
Cash is one that, again, like even though he's on this list and we know now like how solid the AI can be, I just don't see many people going for him. Maybe it's the we're not sure about his minutes still, but although I'm not sure if that is the case anymore. That was more of an issue last year, perhaps. And yeah, it's that Arsenal fixture as well, which is tough just this game week. But looking more long term, fixtures are excellent for Villa after this week. But yeah, those are the defenders. Let's then move on to midfield. No surprise who's top, but yeah, Eze again, just super high, despite the fact that he blanked. Probably just shows that yeah, still very bullish on Eze as a pick.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at the names that Eze's managed to push below him: Saka, Palmer, Foden, De Bruyne, Son. Like, it's pretty incredible there, the output that we could potentially expect from Eze. I've seen some managers looking to sell Eze after his blanker. We see this as a common trend after game week 1. Any player that's highly owned and blanked is suddenly out of favour. But if you watched the game and saw the free kick that should have been allowed that wasn't, like, Eze, we could have easily had an 8, 9, 10 pointer from him in that game. And then you look at his underlying numbers as well. He had 7 shots. 4 of those came inside the box, 3 on target. There's massive of potential from him, and he's got the fixtures to do it in. So yeah, having that blend of the form and the fixtures is really important for Eze. And you've got to take away the fact that he is predicted to outscore all of these really popular, proven midfielders in FPL. And it looks like now he could maybe stay as a Crystal Palace midfielder for the window, which is a huge plus, which wasn't clear at the deadline. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, he's one of those where you're obviously frustrated with the 2 points, but if you look, as you just explained, you look at the game, watch the game, look at the stats there especially, it's like, yeah, okay, returns are coming. He was extremely involved and very, very unlucky. It's a shame that goal got disallowed. It's just such a good goal. It's a very rare goal that you see, you know, like where the goalie thinks it's going to be crossed and just slapped to the near post. So good. Off the post as well. A real shame for football lovers out there, but nonetheless, yeah, he'll be back. Let's talk about cheaper midfielders, perhaps. The likes of Nkunku, not on this list. I don't think he'd ever really expect to be in the top 10 this early on, maybe, and especially not before the City game. But what's the AI thinking with his sort of minutes at the moment? Has that changed at all? Are we less keen on him just because obviously he was subbed early? He had great minutes in pre-season, so I was a bit surprised that he came off as early as he did. But yeah, what's going on there?
I mean, it's about the 70-minute mark. So Nkunku's on 24.7 predicted points, just for context. Leon Bailey is the one that gets ahead of him on 25.3 predicted points. And you've also got Anthony Gordon in among the same kind of points predictions at 24.5. Nkunku was one that, I don't know, I personally could see the warning signs there, because he said that his goal for this season was to stay fit. And we saw him benched in the final pre-season game, which suggested to me that, you know, Maresca was having to be a bit cautious with him. A lot of new players coming in, midweek fixture as well in the Europa Conference League qualifying. So I think all of that combined, there's just a little bit that doesn't quite stack up on Nkunku. It'll be interesting to see how Maresca attacks that midweek game and whether Nkunku gets minutes after that early sub. But yeah, fear that that's going to be a common trend. But it's a shame because he's got so much potential, and the fixtures for Chelsea look great now that they've got the City game out of the way. So I think if you went there, I think it's just something that you've got to monitor over the next couple of weeks before making a decision. But surely Maresca has to qualify Chelsea for the Europa Conference League, given the squad depth he's got. Like, how are any of those players going to get minutes if it's just Premier League football?
Oh, it'd be awful. I mean, yeah. I really hope that we do. I don't care too much about the Conference League, to be honest. I was very annoyed when United won the FA Cup, and then that demoted us into the Conference League. But yes, if you have a squad that big and you're only playing one game a week, it's going to be absolute carnage. I mean, we've already seen a statement from one of the senior players. Who knows? Could be 30 statements flying about, as Jamie Redknapp said yesterday. Let's move on finally to the forwards. Haaland still miles ahead. Isak, again, like we kind of expect these numbers. I mean, Isak is just such a good player anyway. Even the assist is just good, and even the fact that they had to just play counter attack, but he was still excellent, beating men, holding the ball up super well. Like he's just such a good player anyway, despite predicted points, fantasy points. Just such a joy to watch. Havertz in third, ahead of Watkins. It's encouraging to see as he's in the AI team.
Yeah, exactly. You've kind of got your tier 1 is Haaland, your tier 2 is Isak, and then everyone else is kind of tier 3, and there's not a lot to separate them. But yeah, it's good to see Havertz holding his own here, especially when, we have got that mixed period of fixtures coming up for Havertz. But you look at his output from last season in the number 9 role. Like if he's going to continue in this role, I think we can view him as fixture proof. So hopefully he does very well for us over this upcoming period as well. But also a warning for Watkins owners as well. Like if you picked Watkins, the writing probably was on the wall in terms of his minutes for game week 1, but you probably picked him because you view him as a consistent player who's going to get consistent returns through the season. That hasn't changed. He's got his kind of getting up to speed fixture out of the way now, and I expect him to be playing 90 consistently from now on and getting those consistent returns. So yeah, don't lose faith if you went with Watkins. You have to kind of follow that decision through over the next few weeks rather than giving up as things stand at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to be a tough start for him, to be fair. And then Arsenal at home, tough fixture. But then, yeah, after that, Leicester away, Everton at home, Wolves at home, Ipswich away. And then the big fixture, Man United at home. That's where he really could get a lot of goals. I mean, who knows? United might be good this season. They looked okay the other day. But yeah, there we go. Those are the predicted points for some of the top players in the game. And that's going to do it for this video. Holly, thank you very much. We're going to be back next week. No matter what happens with the team, seeing how it does. Hopefully it does well. I mean, I'd love it to win. Imagine it won. Wouldn't that be crazy?
It would. I mean, I am rooting for it, and especially every week that it does better than my team. Like it's something else that you can fall back on and support because, I'm quite invested myself with how it does. But I am a little bit worried having no Haaland when half of the playing pool have Haaland and will captain him for Ipswich at home.
That was always going to be. This was always going to be the week for no Haaland drafts, and yeah, if you get through this, okay. I mean, even with a small red afterwards, it doesn't look too bad. And as I said, Brentford at home as a Salah captain, it's pretty good in the knowledge that most managers that have Haaland don't have Salah. Okay, thank you very much for going through that team, Holly. We'll catch you next week with what happens in game week 2. And again, guys, if you wanna get your own AI recommended transfers, have a look at the best AI team according to the data, then sign up to Fantasy Football Hub if you haven't done so already. Link is down below. Still 50% off. All right, Holly, catch you next week.